right, today we're going to get into properties of exponents. There are 5 different rules. We're going to do 3 of the rules today and then do the other 2 tomorrow. So the first rule is the product of powers. Product means multiplication and power is the exponent. So these rules only apply to the exponents. They do not apply to the coefficients or the big numbers. They're only to the exponents. So these are properties of exponents. So we're going to go through and we're going to do several examples so that we can simplify and make sure we know what product of powers is. All right. The first one, you're going to multiply the big numbers. So we're going to do 5 times 2 times -4. That's -40. And you're going to add the exponent. So the first rule says that you add the exponents. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5. I have x to the 10th power. So the first rule, the product of powers, says you add the exponents. I am going to write that somewhere. Maybe put a little star note. For the first rule, you add the exponents. Do not add the numbers, the coefficients. Do not add those. You only add the exponents. Again, these are properties of exponents, the powers, the little numbers. Next, you're going to add the x's together, add the y's together, add the z's, etc., and so on. If you need to put little ones at the top, like I'm going to put a 1 there for y to the first power, and I'm going to put a 1 here for x to the first power. If you need to put those up there, there's nothing wrong with that. It's always going to be an understood 1 there if you don't see it. So if I add my x's together, this is going to be x to the third. If I add the y's together, this is going to be y to the 5th power. And if we add the z's together, that is going to be z to the 5th power as well. Again, we are adding the exponents. We added the x's, we added the y's, we added the z's. We are adding the exponents. Next one, so I wrote some in here in the blue there. So we're going to go through and we're going to simplify those as well. We're going to multiply the big numbers. -3 times 2 is -6. And we're going to add the exponents. Again, if you need to put some 1s for your exponents so that you don't forget that there's a 1 there, there's nothing wrong with that. So this is j squared, j to the first. Add that together. Add your k's together. This is 4 and this is 6. That's going to be k to the 10th. And this is a 6. Okay. Again, you can use your calculator or mental math. You're going to multiply the big numbers. 5 times 1/5 is 1. Add the exponents. I'm going to put my 1s up there so that we can keep track of the 1 for the exponent. So if I add my a's together, I got 3 of them. So that's a to the 3rd. We add the b's together. That's 1 there, 1 there. That's going to be b squared. And we add the c's together. There's 3 there and 4 there. This 1 is not necessary. So this 1 is not necessary. It's just there so that you know we did 5 times 1/5 and it gave us 1. But that 1 is not necessary. All right, so that is our first property. So the first property is the product of powers. It says when we are multiplying, we add the exponents. Again, the first rule says when we are multiplying, you add the exponents. All right, next rule is the quotient of powers. This one is the rule tells us to subtract the exponents. So for this one, we're going to subtract the exponents. So again, this rule is not for the coefficients, the big numbers. They are just for the exponents. So if I'm working on this first one here, this is 15 divided by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So that had nothing to do with the exponents. We did 15 divided by 3. Again, we're going to subtract the exponents. If you need to put your 1s up there, you can. You're going to do x squared divided by x to the first. You subtract the exponents. That's going to be x to the first. And then y to the 5th divided by y to the 3rd, that's going to be y squared. This 1 you probably would not see there. It's always understood to be 1 there if you don't see it. So you probably just see 5xy squared. So that's our final answer. Next, if I take a look at this over here, we're going to divide and simplify our numbers. Negative 27 divided by 9, that is negative 3. So negative 27 divided by 9 is negative 3. We're going to go through and do the A's, the B's, and the C's, and we're going to subtract them. So with the A's, 9 minus 2, we're going to subtract. That gives me A to the 7th power. B, 5 and 3, subtract. And with the C's, 2 minus 2 gives us 0, so there are no C's left. So there's no need to write the C's because C2 minus 2 cancels out and we're left with nothing. So my final answer is negative 3, A to the 7th, B squared. Okay, next, we got our P's and our N's. We're going to subtract the exponents. 5 minus 2 and 4 minus 3. That's going to give me P to the 3rd, N to the 1st power. Probably wouldn't see that one there, just putting it there for studying purposes since we're just starting out, but you probably would not see the one there. And the last one, go through, we're going to do R's, N's, and T's. So R to the 7th and R to the 3rd. It's going to give me R to the 4th power. N to the 7th and N to the 3rd, subtract. It's going to be N to the 4th. And the 2's here cancel. They give you 0, so there's no need to write the T's down because there are no T's. They went away. So that is our final answer. Okay, now we're going to take a look at one more property of exponent today, and this is going to be called the power to a power rule. So this is a power to a power rule. Let me show a few of them, and then I'll kind of put in words how I like to think of this rule and how to apply it. So I have a 3 that's on the outside here. This 3 needs to be applied to the 4, and it needs to be applied to the 5. So if you have a number that's on the outside, you have to make sure you distribute it to every single term that's on the inside. So we're going to do 3 to the x to the 4th, and 3 is going to go to y to the 5th. So we have x to the 4th to the 3rd, and y to the 5th to the 3rd. So notice I took the 3 that's on the outside, and I applied it to the x to the 4th, and I applied it to the y to the 5th. So you multiply the exponents. When you are in a case like this, you multiply. So 4 times 3 is x to the 12th power. And then 3 times 5 is y to the 15th power. So that is our answer, x to the 12th, y to the 15th. I'm going to do the same thing over here. The 4 needs to go to the 3, the 4 needs to go to the a squared, and the 4 needs to go to the b to the 3rd power. So I like to think of this as like distributing, so to speak. So I'm going to put that in quotations. So I'm going to say distribute the exponent and multiply. And I'll be out of your way in just a minute. All right, so I'm going to say the rule is distribute, quote unquote, distribute the exponent and multiply. So what I mean by that is whatever number's on the outside, you have to distribute it to all the variables on the inside, and then you will multiply. So for this one here, I'm going to have to do 3 to the 4th, 2 times 4, and then 3 times 4. 3 to the 4th power is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That is 81. Sometimes students get mixed up and they think that's 12, but this is 3 to the 4th power. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Now I need to do a squared to the 4th power. You're going to multiply. That's a to the 8th power. And then 3 times 4 is going to be b to the 12th power. So that's that one. Okay. Next one. This 3, it needs to go to everything in the numerator, and it needs to go to everything in the denominator. So that's the distributive part. So the 3 needs to go to the 2, to the a squared, to the b, and it also needs to go to the a. So I'm doing 2 to the 3rd power. That is 2 times 2 times 2. That's 8. Okay, so I did 2 to the third power. Make sure you're not doing 2 times 3 because we're working with exponents now. So 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2. Now I'm doing a squared to the third power. You're going to multiply the exponents. That's a to the 6. And b to the third power, it's just b to the third power. And in my denominator, I got to take this 3, apply it to the denominator. That's going to be a to the third. Now we're not finished. I can apply one of my rules from the second rule that we did today. It tells us to subtract the exponent. So you're not finished until your variables only appear once. So my final answer is 8. 6 minus 3 is a to the third, b to the third. So that is our final answer. 8, a to the third, b to the third. Okay, next one. Last one. I have this rule here. I'm going to kind of foreshadow to our next rule that's coming up. This is to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is just going to be the number 1. So I'm foreshadowing that's actually going to be our next rule that's coming up tomorrow. But anything to the 0 power is 1. So I'm actually going to mark this whole thing out, and my numerator becomes 1 because anything to the 0 power is 1. This 2 needs to be distributed to the 3 and the x to the 4. So 3 squared is 3 times 3, that's 9. And 4 times 2 is 8. I don't have anything else I can do, so this is our final answer. 1 divided by 9x to the 8th power. So that is our final answer.